Hey, let's talk about lights, specifically this one, and why this is one of the best headlights that you can buy right now. Headlights. They provide an obvious solution to a basic and important need that many of us have as riders. Simple enough. But what makes for a really good light? Now that might depend upon who you ask. Here are the three basic requirements that I think makes for a really good light. Number one, it obviously has to provide sufficient and adequate illumination for the riding condition. Two, it needs to have at least adequate battery life. It's not going to do any good if you're out on a 3-hour ride and the light dies after an hour and a half. And number three, and perhaps most importantly, it needs to be reliable. It's probably not that big of a deal to be riding home from work or the grocery store on your bike and have the light quit or die on you. But it's a whole different matter when you're 150 miles from home in the middle of the wilderness on a big bike adventure and all of a sudden the light quits. Now if you wanted to get a little bit more specific on what makes a good light, you could ask things like, how compact and lightweight is it? Is it waterproof? Which kind of leads itself back to the reliability aspect. Of course, if it's not waterproof, it's probably not going to be very reliable if you get caught out in bad weather conditions. And lastly, what's the cost? Of course, cost on anything is always going to be a consideration. Now, I've been using this simple, generic USB powered headlight for about 2 years now, and I've got to say, it nails it on pretty much all of those requirements. I've used this thing a lot, an average of 2 to 3 rides a week, 2 to 4 hours at a time, and it hasn't let me down yet. I think all things considered, this is honestly one of the best lights that you can buy right now. This is a generic single LED USB powered light that's widely available online directly from sellers in China on eBay, Amazon, and a number of other websites. Note that the light is not sold with a battery, but it can be powered by virtually anything with a standard USB socket, making it one of the most versatile lights anywhere. I like the fact that it is sold without a battery because that helps keep the cost ridiculously low, and it allows me to easily pair it with a battery of my own choice. Depending on the seller, the light is advertised as having a light output of anywhere from 1200 to 3000 lumens. While the light is plenty bright, this is hardly the case, and my educated guess is that the actual output is closer to around 800 to 900 lumens. Still plenty bright for just about any type of riding condition, including technical single track. The light has a machined aluminum heatsink case with a 3-setting click-style switch on the back, mounted to a plastic base, which is held onto your handlebars with a thick rubber O-ring. The power cord is 45.5 inches long. The beam pattern on this light is that of a pretty narrow, concentrated spotlight. I like the light to throw a wider pattern, so I've upgraded the stock glass shield to one of these wide-angle lenses. I rode the same section of trail 4 times, each time using a different combination, ranging from the light's stock lens and low power setting all the way up to the wide-angle lens at the highest power setting. And just for fun, I rode this section of trail again with 2 of these lights on my bike, both on the high power setting. One was stock and one was upgraded to the wide angle lens. So let's talk about batteries. As I mentioned earlier, this light is not sold with a battery, so you have to supply your own. It can be powered by virtually any USB power supply, giving you a very wide range of options of what to use. If you search eBay or Amazon for USB power bank, you'll find a wide range of products available, most all of which will work well as a power supply for this light. These here are my 2 favorites, with preference going to this one. This here is a 2-cell 5200 milliamp hour single USB battery. It's got a power button here on the front and a 4 LED charge indicator. The specs printed on the back of this battery say that it's 1 amp input to charge it, and it has an output of 2.1 amps at 5 volts, and the total capacity is 5200 milliamp hours. Now I've measured charge input and battery output with a USB ammeter, and the specs on this battery are pretty accurate. So by doing a couple of quick basic calculations, I was able to figure out the charge time of this battery and the runtime that it provides. So based on my quick basic calculations, theoretically this battery should take about 5 hours to charge from 0 to 100%, and it should be able to power my USB light on the high power setting for about 3.5 hours. One other really cool thing about this light is that it consumes so little energy on the low power setting that based on my calculations, I should be able to run this light for nearly up to 11 hours on the low power setting. These numbers are pretty darn accurate because I've tested this light with this battery in a number of settings several times in the past, and it hasn't fallen short at all. In fact, I did an overnight ride several months ago where I used this light with this 5200 milliamp hour battery almost entirely on the low setting, and the light actually exceeded a runtime of 11 hours continuous straight. Final great thing about this battery is the cost. This is about 10 bucks, sometimes less, depending on where you buy it. Now the last kind of battery that I wanted to talk about is this USB battery box. It's basically, like I said, it's a battery box. It holds 4 standard AA's. You can put any kind of AA in here, anything from cheap zinc carbon batteries to alkaline batteries and even more expensive lithium AA's or rechargeables. I like this one from Rayovac because it has a cool little power indicator on the front here, which is actually pretty accurate. Now here's where this light gets even better. And what I'm about to tell you, this is a hidden feature that no other light has. These two batteries each take about 5 hours to charge. Pretty much any light battery out there is going to take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours or so to charge for the most part. If you have one of these and you have rechargeable nickel metal hydride and rechargeable AA's, in other words, in here, and if you have a charger like this, a rapid charger, you can get up to 3.5 hours of burn time with this USB light on high, yet it'll only take 10 to 15 minutes to charge. You tell me what other light can make that claim. Once again, let me repeat, 10 to 15 minute charge time, up to 3.5 hour runtime on the high setting. I hope you find this review of the USB headlight helpful in choosing a headlight for your bike. If you're interested in purchasing a light like this or any of the batteries that I've mentioned, check out the links in the description below. Any purchase made via these links helps to support the creation of new content for this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and keep adventuring.